Well, good morning. It's Monday, and we are looking at Proverbs chapter 22 again. Now, this is a little different than what we've been doing. We've been looking at Proverbs 20 one day, and then 21 another, 22, and so on and so forth. However, we've come upon a section in verses 17 through 21 in chapter 22 of Proverbs where the writer expresses in verse 20 that he's written 30 sayings. And so we want to take time and look at all of those 30 sayings. The first saying that we saw was found in verse 22 and 23. And so this morning we want to look at verses 24 and 25, which make up saying number 2, and then look at 26 and 27, which make saying 3. So let's look at what saying number 2 is. He says, "Make no friendship with a man given to anger, nor go with a wrathful man, lest you learn his ways and entangle yourself in a snare." Here he is saying that we need to be careful who we are friends with. He's not talking about reaching out to people, but rather he's saying the friendship as far as who is going to influence you. That anger and bitterness are easily transferred, that even though they are ugly, but yet they seem to attract people. Just think about the fact that anger and lashing out seems to attract more viewers in TV shows or on the news. Bad news attracts more when people do violent and wicked things. And so there's an intrigueness, a getting sucked into these kinds of things. And he says, listen, these are just sinful ways. And you need to be careful because these things can rub off on you. And finally, he says that it can cause you to be in a snare. In other words, you may find yourself in a situation that you didn't want to be in because of what was going on. And so we need to understand that we need to be wise of who we are around and who we allow to influence us, lest we find ourselves in a situation we don't want to be in. The third saying that he gives is found in 26 and 27. He says, "Be not one of those who gives pledges, who put up security for debts. If you have nothing with which to pay, why should your bed be taken from under you?" Here what he is saying, and this has been mentioned several times already, such as in Proverbs 6 and whatnot, that it's good not to put up a security, really to become like a co-signer of a loan or whatnot, so that in the end you don't get stuck with having to make the payment. Now, there is the rule of, let's say you want to help someone out and you are just fine with knowing, hey, I'm going to go into this, and if they default, that's fine. I'm going to take care of it. But if you really can't afford it, it's not something you're in a position to be able to do like that, and you say, I'll go ahead and co-sign this loan for you. I'll put up some collateral or whatever. And then they default, and then they actually come and take, he says, your bed away from you. What are you going to sleep on? They're coming and taking everything away. Now, again, if you have tons of stuff, tons of money or whatever, and somebody comes and says, hey, they defaulted on that $100 loan, and you're like, sure, here's the $100, I'll take care of it. It's not a big deal. That's fine. But he says, if you're not in that kind of a position, be wise. There are a lot of people out there who want to try to take advantage, and he says, so you need to be wise. So there kind of is this tension in Scripture of being generous, whereas you're also being wise and making sure that you are knowing what is happening with your finances. So here he just says that make sure that you know what you're doing. Don't be too quick to do these things. Do diligent research and make sure that you understand what's going on. And so hopefully these are an encouragement to you. Make sure that you are wise in your friendships and wise in your financial dealings, and may the Lord richly bless you this day.